Thank you so much for taking Part 4 of Military Consumer Toolkit class. Part 1 was spending and budgeting. Part 2 is earn. Part 3 is borrow. Part 4 is save and invest. Part 5 is protect. Each video in the series has a 13-minute introduction that is the same as video 1. Have a great day. This is the introduction to this particular video, and it talks about why the Military Consumer Toolkit was created, its purpose, and how it will help military families, and why this matters so much to the Federal Trade Commission and the military. My family has served in the military. My uncle was in the Navy during the Korean conflict, and my stepfather was in the Air Force for 30 years. My husband was a Marine. My daughter was a Marine, and she served in Desert Storm. I wanted to serve in the Marine Corps, but that didn't come to pass. I'm small and sickly. So, but I just want to try to give back to those I care about so much. And so I put this video together to be of assistance to our military family and friends. So once again, thank you for watching this video. I had a joining forces video in this segment of this video, and I've had to take it out because of the music or something on YouTube. It was copyrighted, so I just took it out. I am saddened to know that the website is no longer active. We still need the resources that was provided by this organization. Even though it was an initiative started by Dr. Jill Biden and First Lady Michelle Obama, it is still needed. I hope someone out there listening to this video will move this wonderful organization to the private sector. All of the businesses and all the people that were involved in the companies. I know there's protocol and everything with various administrations and all of that stuff, but it just is mind boggling to me that this administration has removed this website and all of the things that were being done for our military families. So if there's someone listening, please do something. Maybe you can talk to Ms. Obama if you're in that area, or Dr. Biden if you're in that kind of area. But this needs to be reinstated in the private sector, in the communities at large. It does not need to be an initiative that can be turned on and off because the needs are not turned on and off. I don't know what I can do. I'm just a lowly retired person, but those that have power, this is one time you could use your power for great things. Absolutely great things. Debt can put you in a cell. It can put your mental life in a cell. It can affect your family, your requirements on the base. It can just have so many negative side effects. And the only way to fix that, the only way to correct it and to get out of the mental anguish of debt is training. That's what this video is all about. That's what the toolkit is all about, to give you the tools and the abilities to get yourself out of the situation and not find yourself back in a mental lockdown because of that.
I'm Jessica Rich, Director of Consumer Protection at the Federal Trade Commission.
And I'm Technical Sergeant James Mulhern.
When the Department of Defense said that financial readiness is a big part of military preparedness, we listened. When you know how to manage your money and how to spot a ripoff, you're more financially solid. That keeps you mission ready at home and abroad.
That's why the Department of Defense, the Federal Trade Commission, and others teamed up to make military.consumer.gov your tool for financial readiness.
We are proud to offer our uniformed service members and families quick mobile tips that won't slow you down. Want to buy a car, manage your money during deployment, or continue your education? Get started right from your phone at military.consumer.gov.
Before you open your wallet, check out Military Consumer.
For all our members of the uniformed services, knowledge is the first line of defense for you and your family. Visit military.consumer.gov, your tool for financial readiness.
What you want is not always what you need. Sometimes that new car should not be a purchase, whereas you can actually fix up the old one you have, maybe a little body work, a little paint work, and that will keep you from adding additional debt that you cannot afford. The purpose of this class is to help military families and military personnel to have good tools to make good financial decisions, because wrong decisions can have a long-term effect on family life, mission readiness, and the service members' security clearance. Working with the Department of Defense, the Federal Trade Commission came up with this program, and it's so important because they want you to be able to make solid financial decisions that will not impact you and your family in a negative way. This program seeks to help you answer these questions. Who will handle my finances during deployment? What should I know when buying a car? Often we think that's an easy purchase, but some of those contracts can be detrimental to your finances and can cause you some serious financial harm. And also, can I use my military training to further my goals? As you saw in the video from joining forces, that is very relevant and possible. Why does this matter? Why is this so important? Why does the military seek to help those families and personnel to understand more clearly the concept of debt? It's because of the survey they did and the studies they have found that the average military family has more debt than assets. The purpose of this class is to help you, give you the tools so that you can make good decisions on your assets and not acquire a lot of debt. Continuing with why this matters. The challenges of military life can affect the service member's finances as well as the service member's family. It hurts everyone when things are off balance. Frequent transitions and changes can cause you to have problems straightening out different debts and obligations in one location when you move into another. Many service members have little financial experience. That was my father. When he came into the military, he was taken advantage of. I know of a couple of car purchases he made that really did not turn out well. And the bad part about it, these things have long-term consequences. These things can follow you when you leave the military. This whole program is designed to give you the know-how and the keys of making good, smart financial decisions. This section is on save and invest. There's a video on choosing a bank, how to pick your option. There's a small section on investing with some comments about fraud and red flags. And then there's also a video on investing versus employment. What are the differences and how does investing work? Saving is the key to our future, but many times our incomes and the way we live keep us from saving the way we would like to. So we need to come up with some kind of plan. You need a plan because you may find yourself old with no income. So saving and learning how to budget really impacts you when you retire. So like the slide here on the left says, it says set goals. Set realistic saving goals and timelines to save and invest in long term. You want it to last. You want to use your allotment to set aside savings from every payday. Like I said, you can set aside, as it says here, you can start small. You can start out with $10 a week, $5 a week. and then work your way up to saving like a percentage of your income over time. So you want to work to be able to save 10 to 20% of your income in an account that's future focused, so it'll be there for you. And starting early for retirement planning is very important. The younger you are when you begin saving towards retirement, you will actually do better. Your money will grow, and by contributing to the thrift saving plan and immediately take advantage of the government match up to a certain percentage and the tax benefits for that. So you want to look into that, and you want to avoid high interest loan, credit card balances, pay off credit cards and account balances in full. Always pay debt and the highest interest rate first. So you want to get rid of those things and pay them off. You only need one credit card, not five or six of those store cards and all this other stuff. Don't do that. That just goes back to the previous portion we discussed, which is debt. Now, saving extra while deployed, this is really something to think about. So you want to take advantage of specific military resources and benefits. The saving deposit program pays 10% interest on a deposit of up to $10,000. In a combat zone exclusion area, some or all of the pay may be tax free while you're on duty. And reenlistment in a combat area, you may be entitled to a tax free bonus. So, what do you do with this extra money? If I was you, and if you're smart, you'll put it in some kind of plan that you can't get at. You can't touch it. It's just there. So all that bonus money and other things you get, that's what you use. I know many friends and people I knew over the years, when they would get this money or this reenlist money or special duty pay or something, because they're in a combat zone or something, they couldn't wait to get back to the States or whatever and buy them a new car or a bunch of electronics or stuff. That's not going to help you. That's just creating debt. Now the money's gone and you got nothing to show for it. So you want to really think about these things that this video is showing, because you do not have to be living from payday to payday. Your money may be a little tight, but you can have a good month in between paydays. Okay, where you save is very important. It should be someplace close to you. You need to examine all of these things that are important to you. So you want to look into the fact to see, is it a national community bank or a credit union, military banks, credit union, and even now they have these online only banks, which I find interesting. But you want to make sure that you find some place that works for you. So you can choose a few and then compare what they offer. That's very important, because some offer some interesting things, and you want to look into the things that they offer. You want to look for the best deal. You want to check to see, do they have fees? What about their interest rate? Is the interest rate paying your little savings so it's growing? Is it convenient? You want to know, you have to drive a long way, and then you got the ATM access. Do they have enough ATMs where your card will work in a lot of places? And do they offer mobile banking? If this is convenient for you. So you want to check into that. And does it require you to carry a minimum balance? Some places require you to keep at least a minimum of $50 in your account to qualify for, say, for instance, no fee mobile banking or the little higher interest rate on the savings. So you want to check into that. Also, you want to know if they have early direct deposit or active duty, which could allow you to access your pay sooner than regular military paydays on the 1st and the 15th. So you want to find out, do they have that? So that's very important. And also, you want to know about their military savings program. Do they have those where you can work that out so that you can add little extra monies and things you need? So you don't want to just jump right on the first account that you see or the first bank. You want to make sure you check out the bank and see, do they have the thrift savings plan to help you save for retirement and take advantage of government matched funds and stuff that they do to help you have money towards your retirement. So these are things you want to consider when considering a bank, a place to start your savings.
Sarah wanted a savings account to help her save for a car, and she wanted a checking account to pay her bills. She went to a bank near her office. Sarah was surprised that they charged a monthly fee for anyone with less than $1,000 in the bank. So Sarah decided to do some homework. She She made a list of the things that were important to her. She wanted a bank with lots of ATMs. She didn't want to pay fees, so she wanted a bank that let her keep a low minimum balance without charging her extra. She also wanted a bank that paid interest on both her savings and checking account. Knowing what she wanted, Sarah compared a credit union with another bank. The credit union didn't have many ATMs, but she could use any other credit union's ATM for free. There were no fees and no minimum balance required, and both accounts paid a small interest rate. The bank had lots of ATMs. It also had fees if her balance went below $300. The savings account paid interest, but not the checking account. Sarah thought the bank might be more convenient, but she worried about paying fees if her balance went below $300. And she liked the idea of getting interest, even a little bit, on her money. Sarah decided the right place to help her save and pay her bills was the credit union. But it was a tough decision.
Investing is a good way to help provide for your future, but there are so many unsavory people in this world of investment and opportunities that seem good that aren't good. So you definitely have to do your research. You have to examine the opportunities. Check the qualifications of the people that you're dealing with. Be clear on any fees, because your investment portfolio, the broker will charge you so much for managing your account, and then there could be other fees. And some red flags of fraud that you should watch out for is when people are promoting high rate of return, low risk, and then they pressuring you to invest quickly, and then all these get rich quick things. These all are high risk. Even the best form of savings oftentimes is actually a government bond. The money is not, how can I put this, is not high, but you can guarantee your investment will be there. Say for instance, you put $1,000 in government bonds, and the interest rate may be it may be 3% or something like that. But even if the bond go up or down, you never lose that $1,000 you originally invested. That will always be there. But when you invested on things on the stock market, investing in companies and things, you have to remember you can lose your initial investment, or you can lose so much, because my pension plan that I have, and it has an enormous portfolio, and the plan is very solvent. It's well known all over the United States. But my concern with that is we always have to remember you need professionals who know, just like it says on the slide, do your research. Investing is not like working. You have to understand what is the opportunity for the stocks to sell. You have to do all this research. Is my investment advisor or firm qualified? You want to check on these folks, see if they've got any issues, with government agencies, or have they been caught up in some kind of fraud thing. You want to do your due diligence. And what are the fees? What do they charge you for managing your portfolio? And then another thing, like I said, the fraud thing over here, the red flags. It's no easy quick get rich quick thing. If you give somebody $5,000 and they tell you, well, you're gonna make $60,000 in 5 months, who's the guarantee that your money will be there in 5 months? You could get a call from these people and say, oh, I'm so sorry, it all went bust and you lost all your money. So how are you going to handle that? So there's a trade-off when you're talking about investing. You really have to know what you're doing. You really do. Investing comes in two forms. You can invest in the stock market or the bonds and different things that the stock exchange offers, or you can invest in like real estate. So investing is not the same as working. Investments can fail. The Wall Street crash in 1929, hurt not only this country but Europe as well. The president of Chase National Bank made an interesting statement regarding the fact that it was the consequence of people speculating, millions of people speculating on stocks and inflated products and things that were out there to make money. So when it began to crash, as he says here in the last sentence, that the number of sellers would be greater than ever when the boom ended and selling took the place of buying. You must be very mindful when dealing with stocks that they can fail. So you want to make sure that you contact your resources in the military that can help you if you decide to invest in something like this. Investing or employment. Investing is you take money and you invest it in a project or something with the expectation that you will get back more than you invested. The definition from google.com is very good. It says expend money with the expectation of achieving a profit or material result by putting it into financial schemes, and some of them surely are, shares or property, or by using it to develop a commercial venture. You are expecting to receive more than you put in. That's the whole idea of investing. And being an employee or employment, you take a position based on the agreed upon task for a certain amount of money. This is guaranteed. Wages or salary, unless the company goes out of business or you have some kind of issue about collecting your money. But you're expecting a fixed amount of money for the task that you complete. Investing is you're expecting more back than what you invested. If you invested $100, depending on the rate of return, they may promise you $1,000 for your investment. But there is no guarantee. With employee, it's a guarantee. If you get up and go to work, do your job, then the wages are waiting for you at the end of the defined time. So one is an expectation of an increase in the money you put in. The other is an expectation of agreed upon wages for tasks that you have agreed to do. An investment can decrease in value. You can invest $100 and your return at the end of the investment could be 10. So if you go on investor.gov website, it tells you right there the value of your investment can go up or down depending on the demand for them in the market. The investment has no insurance through the federal government that will protect the value of your investment from increasing or decreasing. There are other regulations that protect against fraudulent behavior by the companies. You can lose everything in an investment. And as a military personnel, you want to be very careful when you're trying to get into the stock market and to take advantage of these so called great deals and stuff. This stuff is not guaranteed. This is not a wage. This is a gamble, basically. You invest $1,000 with the expectation of $5,000 back in 6 months, but that's all dependent on the market or whatever the demand for or how the company does. If the company goes bankrupt, the common stockholders like yourself and other small stockholders are last when they liquidate all the assets. The big bondholders go first, then the people with the preferred stock, then the small stockholders. And usually, after they receive theirs, there's nothing left. So, you really need to give deep thought to this because any form of investing can come out where you lose your investment in that project. You lose everything, everything. As military personnel, there is help if you decide that you want to try to invest in some stocks and bonds or other things on the stock exchange. The Security and Exchange Commission conducts its outreach to the military by conducting financial workshops on military installations. They also provide free educational brochures to support financial readiness and events and activities. And they actually do a publication, numerous publications to help service members who are interested in investing or creating a fund for their kids or something. So the information is there on the sec.gov and investor.gov. And also they work at interacting with military installations to provide this information around the country. So the information is there. You can get assistance and you can go online to get good assistance. That's where I got most of the information for this little presentation was on the investor.gov website. So the information truly is there. One of the key features of the training that they do for the military is to help with information to prevent military families and personnel from getting caught in some kind of investing fraud. You know, that's very important. That's why they spend so much time on the basis try to provide information to help the members of the military not be victimized by numerous crazy investing schemes that are out there, these get rich things they promise you all this crazy return on your investment, and many times it's not true. This slide covers some free financial planning tools on investor.gov. There are some interesting topics that you find there, and all of these tools are actually calculators where you would put in information and it would calculate for you the various numerical requirements or financial requirements for investment or where you're going to end up in 10 or 20 years and all those little projective things. But if you don't recognize any of these things on these little slides that's going to be coming up, it behooves you. I just encourage you, don't be, how can I say, like my stepfather was. He would never admit he didn't know. And many times he would get taken advantage of as opposed to seeking out information. Check with your legal office or your personal financial manager's office if you're interested in any of these things. Because people would take advantage of your lack of knowledge. I have no clue what a couple of these are. Now, this first one is a 401 and an IRA. I understand those things. I've had those for career jobs that I have worked. And compound interest calculator, savings goal calculator. So, this is how you calculate what your savings will turn into. There is no risk in a savings account. Now, your Social Security retirement estimator, this is something you definitely should look into. Do you pay? You definitely should pay into Social Security. You want to make sure that you have an account because when you retire or you come out of the military, when you turn 65, you want to make sure that you have funds in that account. Retirement ballpark estimator. You know, that's to give you an idea, I guess, on when you can retire. I didn't even know there was a calculator for that one. Mutual fund analyzer and 529 expense analyzer. See, so be knowledgeable, contact folks to help you understand because the expense analyzer is for college saving plan. So you want to really know what you're doing when you're dealing with this. You want to be able to deal with your money correctly. You don't want to get caught in some kind of get rich quick scheme and lose the investment you put in because remember, the investment does not come back. You can actually lose it all. On this screen, this is the information on who you would contact if you're interested in an investor or a company doing that type of service for you. They have regulators, serious security regulators. And if you go on this website, you can click on a link and you can put in the name of the person you're interested in using, and it will come back and give you the status of that person or if they're really registered or do they have issues. So, once again, do your due diligence. I found this next little project on the Federal Trade Commission's website. It's buying a janitorial service franchise. And I thought it was a very good example on how we can get into things that we think makes lots of money, but it can come back if we don't do our due diligence. So here we go. Buying a janitorial service franchise. It sounds easy, cleaning offices or wherever you contract with, something you can do in the evening. You find a lot of people promoting this. This is a franchise. That's the key word. It's not like you go out and you get a bunch of offices in your name and you say, I would like to clean for you. You're buying into a franchise. So you have to be careful. You have, you know, you get all this wonderful hype Have you thought about investing in a janitorial service franchise? You could be your own boss. You get your own fees. You work with the company. They make all of these promises about what they're going to do for you. With the company that provides you with customers and handles the marketing, billing, collection services, the fee usually is about half the gross income the accounts are supposed to generate in a year. See, so right here it tells you you pay them a fee for providing all of these services. This is you're doing all the cleaning and everything. Yes, you're getting paid, but the bulk of that money, because it says is about half the gross income, not the net. That keyword right here is gross. So if you're making 20,000 gross, and after you pay all your expenses, and you're left with, say, for instance, 11,000, well, the gross is the 20. They're gonna be looking for 10 grand. Don't care about your expenses. So you're not gonna come out with a lot left at the end of the year. That's just, I'm sure it's a lot more than that, but that's just an easy way to explain how it works. Yep, everybody's talking about let's go, we got to make a change, let's make us some money. It all sounds good. So let's look at what the Federal Trade Commission says, and you can use these kind of thoughts towards any franchise, and most franchises have similar types of requirements. Now you go home and you talk to your family all about it. Everybody's all on board. Everybody's excited. It sounds great. Nobody sees anything wrong with the franchise or the idea. All they thinking about is how much money they can make. And it sounds so easy. All they have to do is clean the buildings. They don't have to do any paperwork. They just need to collect their share. Well, everybody's on board. Everybody's got their little calculators out, figuring out how much they can make and what they can spend it on. Even Granny getting out her little change out the piggy bank, and Mom's is over here chilling on her little raft. She thinking about all the great vacations she can have. But it's times like these when you need to really stop and think. Nothing is free. Make sure you do your due diligence. Okay, so you're slowing down. Now you're starting to ask questions. The importance of the paperwork cannot be overstated. According to the Federal Trade Commission about franchises, there's a document they must provide you. It is a disclosure document. You're supposed to get it at least 14 days before you sign anything or give these people any money. The purpose of that is to give you time to have an attorney review this contract to make sure that there are not things in there that will cause you harm, basically. So, and it gives you time to have another discussion with your family after you talk to the attorneys and find out all the requirements. Now you've had time to consider. Now you've had time to slow down. Now you've had your disclosure document and you've been going over it. Now here are some things the Federal Trade Commission says is supposed to be in that document. This document should include the responsibility you and the franchisor will have to each other if you buy the franchise. Remember, you're buying this franchise. Also, evidence to support claims about the potential earnings, the earnings of their current franchisees. So you need to get a statement of earning from them to show what their corporation has made and what other franchisees have made as they have purchased this thing. There needs to be full disclosure. The total number of franchisees. You need to know how many franchises they have. Do they have one or two or 50 or 100? This is this like on the McDonald's level where people buy numerous McDonald's in a single city. You need to understand what's involved. How many franchisees were terminated or not renewed during the past year? There is a contract renewal part. This is stuff that's in that disclosure document. So this document is very important. I know you seem to be inundated, and some of these documents can be very long. So that's why it's important for you not only to review it with your family, but go to an attorney. Go on base to legal services and make sure that you make an appointment so you can review that document because that paper can be daunting if you're not really used to it. Okay, we're continuing on with the things that should be in that disclosure document. names and address and telephone number of at least 10 people who are in this franchise that don't live too far from you. You shouldn't have be in California and you got names from New York. No. The cost to start and operate the business. You're going to have some initial startup expenses. They should be able to tell you what those will be. That will be in your document. Background and experience of those who are key executives in this company. They should have some kind of background in doing exactly what they're talking about, janitorial services. They should have some background in that, not just be on the board with no experience, because then their expectations are going to be all wrong. And then when you have issues, they're not going to understand what you're talking about. You want a fully financial audit on the person owning the franchise. You want to know about his finances. Is he solvent? Is he got $1 million of credit card debt? You want to know, because you don't want to give this individual this money to purchase this franchise and then it's just a scam. You lose everything. Now, this is a very important statement here at the end. A discussion of legal actions against the franchisor or its directors, and by the franchisor or directors against franchisees in the past year. Basically, you want to know about any legal actions that's been taken against anybody in that company. That will tell you what they're doing and what they're up to. So that's very important knowledge you will need. It is no small thing to be in business. There are books, and at times you're going to feel just overwhelmed with the stuff you have to read. That's why you need help. You need legal counsel. You need somebody to help you read and understand this stuff. Okay, let's discuss the franchise agreement or contract. The terms of the contract: if he gives you a package of cleaning accounts that bring in $20,000 a year, his cut is going to be 10,000. He gets half of the gross. Remember that. So you really want to sit down and work the numbers and really work out what it costs to do this. Sit down and talk to your family members. Sit down and talk to other people that have done this kind of work, because there can be hidden fees and costs that can make you come way out on the short at the end of the year. Okay, continuing on with the agreement. The franchise agreement is, like I said, it's called a contract. This determines how you two will interact. This is the legally binding obligation between you and the franchisor in writing. This document controls your relationship. For example, the agreement may say franchisees must pay ongoing fees for management or supplies. If it does, you'll want to find out what the fees are and what they pay for and how often you have to pay them. Anything to do with money or outlay, this is why you need a clear financial statement on what the costs are for this franchise. I think this is the most important part in the whole presentation. You can rely only on what's in the written agreement. So be sure that any promises or things they make has to be in the final document. The salesperson tells you the franchisor will give you an account close to home, but the written agreement says you'll have a large territory with accounts far away. If you sign the agreement, you will have to do what it says. This is what I was talking about. You cannot take any chances, because if you go to legal assistance and you sign this, there's no way out. So you want to make sure that you have the final contract reviewed by legal assistance prior to you signing it. This portion of the contract, it's for me, will be kind of hard, because it tells you to make sure to get it in writing. Anything the salesperson told you, insist that the contract matches the verbal. So if you get in a contract and they show you the first draft and there are things that are not correct, and you ask that they be corrected, and then they say, well, we'll do it later, and in this particular presentation from the Federal Trade Commission, they said you need to decide whether you still want to sign the agreement. That's no joke, because if you sign, you are bound by that agreement as it stands, not by what they promised to do. So make sure you sit down, have a little coffee, go see the legal assistance office, and go over it point by point. If they won't fix it, please do not sign it, because you are stuck in that contract. Okay, you really like the franchise, you really all fired up, but you're a little short of money. Grandma done broke that piggy bank and things are not adding up. So you decide you would like to borrow some money from the franchisor to buy the franchise. This is not a good idea. The interest rates and other financial terms from the franchisor may not be the best deal available. It could be exorbitant. Do not do this. If you cannot afford it, do not go in debt with the person you're working for. Now, at this point, it's up to you now to start collecting information. Check with the local agencies, the state regulatory agencies. You do all of this before you sign the contract. You've got all this information, you've gone to the legal assistance office, you've got all the tweaks made to the contract. Do not sign anything until you check with the state regulators to make sure that you understand the terms of the franchise in your state. What kind of liabilities do you have? Do you have any kind of tax liabilities? And this is something you want to make sure that's clear in your contract because you will have to pay federal and state taxes. So you want to make sure that all this is clear. Is this money you make from this business, is it declared as income? This is a business, so you're going to have to do your due diligence. Continuing on with our information. This part, they recommend that you hire a business advisor, accountant, or lawyer to do your disclosure documents and the franchise agreement with you. That is good advice. But by you being in the military, you have access to legal counsel, and someone to help you, but you still need an accountant to do this. This is a lot of work because the accountant would protect your interests. The franchise say you don't have to do all of this other stuff. They just give you the accounts. They handle that part. But what about your expenses? What about your personal tax return you have to file for your business? So you need help for those areas. Now here's some more information you should be getting. Talk to each franchisee listed in the disclosure document. Ask them about their earnings and their experiences. How does it compare to what the franchisor told you? Don't rely on only the information from the franchisor. Remember, he is selling you something and he may have your head all pumped up on how much money you can make, but he's not telling you what you have to spend to make that money. So you want to be realistic. You want to talk to more than one other person who owns one of those franchises. At the beginning, as we discussed the franchise contract, it gave an example of $20,000 client base per year. That was the revenues from that. And their cut was $10,000. Well, what if you lose a couple of clients? Are they going to hold you still to that $10,000 per year? So you want to make sure that that is clear because they're the ones responsible for getting the customers for you for this franchise. So you want to make sure that, like it says on here, if a customer cancels a cleaning contract during the year, you'll lose the income from that account. Ask the company how it sets the value for the accounts. That's very true because they can set this exorbitant value for these accounts. And then if you lose one, then you've lost a great deal of revenue. And then they're still expecting their cut. That's what I would be very interested in. Is that contract the way it's designed when they give you your clients and it's 20,000 a year? If you lose one, are they still expecting you to give them 10 grand a year? So these are some questions that need to really be worked out. These are things, once you get that document, you do not sign that document, nor do you give them money until these questions and your research is complete. I like this last image I'm using with the money with the chain on it and the padlock. It takes a key of some type to open that for you to access those funds. Having a franchise or coming up with a way to make extra money when you're in the military can be very, very challenging, but it can be done. But it requires a lot of due diligence. Do not be caught with the stack of money in your head without realizing how you have to access that money. There are so many things involved, and people are not always willing to give you the straight information. That's why you have to have someone on your side that knows the law, that understands the requirements. So do your due diligence so you don't get caught in something that will actually hurt you and your family, and that the legal services will not be able to get you out of, that can cause you great harm. So as a friend of mine once said, all that glitters is not gold. And that is so true. It's investing is not like working. You can lose everything you put in. So please do your due diligence. Thank you so much for taking part in the Military Consumer Toolkit class, Part 4, Save and Invest. I look forward to seeing you in Part 5. Have a great day.